Sorry, all. We just were testing, sure we've got it now. So I'm ready to go and press live. Done.
Take it, we can start the meeting. Yep. All right, thanks everyone. Sorry we're running a few minutes late. It's now 6:07. It's Tuesday, the 27th of July, and welcome one and all to the Nillumbik Shire Council Ordinary Council meeting, 27th of July. Members of the public are advised that the meeting will be live streamed and recorded, and the live stream and video recording will be made publicly available on YouTube and Council's website. Whilst every effort will be made to ensure the live streaming and website are accessible to the community, Council may encounter technical issues beyond its control. Technical issues may include, but are not limited to, the availability of the internet connection, device failure or malfunction, unavailability of social media platforms, or power outages, and there's a fair chance of power outage tonight with the winds. Should this occur, the meeting will be temporarily adjourned and every effort will be made to continue the meeting tonight. If we are unable to recommence the meeting, Council will defer those items on the agenda that have not been considered to a later date. Nillumbik Shire Council acknowledges the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people, who are the traditional custodians of this land. We'd also like to pay respect to the elders both past and present, and extend that respect to other First Nations peoples present. We have a good governance pledge tonight. Councillor Payne.
Thank you. As councillors, we're mindful of our civic responsibilities and obligations. We pledge to take them seriously and to carry them out with diligence and integrity. We know the decisions we take will affect the people and environment of Nillumbik now and in the future. We undertake, therefore, to make sound and principled decisions of lasting value in a spirit of fairness and for the good of all. We also pledge to serve the needs and well-being of the community and the environment in an open and honest manner and to the best of our abilities.
Thanks, Councillor Payne. I'll be reading the prayer tonight. Councillors, let us pray. Almighty God, we ask your blessing upon this council. We pray for guidance in our deliberations, and we ask you to grant us wisdom and sensitivity as we deal with the business of our Shire to achieve the best outcome for the people of Nillumbik. As we hear for our community, we ask that all are kept safe and united to help each other, particularly the vulnerable and elderly in this time of stress and uncertainty. We ask this in Christ our Lord. Amen. Apologies, there are no apologies tonight, but a request from Councillor Natalie Duffy is that Council notes that notwithstanding the leave of absence previously granted at the 29th June Council meeting until the 20th of July 2021, Councillor Duffy continued to perform her role as councillor during this period and would have attended the 29 June Council meeting had remote participation been available to her. The next item on the agenda, councillors, is presentations, which there are none. Confirmation of minutes, looking for a mover. Councillor Eyre.
That the minutes of the council meeting held on Tuesday, the 29th of June 2021 be confirmed as per attachment 1.
Thanks, Councillor Eyre. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Remtran. Councillor Eyre, do you wish to speak to the motion?
No, thank you.
Any other councillor wishing to speak? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? It's carried. Unanimous. Oh, sorry, I didn't. Councillor, all those in favour?
I wasn't there, so am I able to vote on that or not? I'm just, because I'm not sure of the procedure.
Blaga?
Yes, they're confirming the minutes today, and the minutes are a recording of the meeting that happened. So you can, if you want to, vote on it while you're here at this meeting. But it's up to you.
I'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? And the motion's carried. It's unanimous. Thanks, councillors. Next on the agenda is disclosure of conflicts of interest. Any councillor have a disclosure of a conflict of interest? No. Petitions, there are none. Questions from the gallery, there are plenty. There are many, many questions. They'll come up on the screen and I'll read out the response. Apologies for the repetitive nature some of the answers, but the questions were repetitive and they focus on one area. But we start with Graham Fields. His first question was, I note from the minutes of Council's meeting on 29th of June 2021 that Councillor Stockman's notice of motion heritage overlay application for 14 Brands Lane Plenty was carried unanimously. Has it become an individual single heritage overlay application rather than one of many bundled applications, in brackets stage A of the Nillumbik Heritage Review? So the response, Graham, is that in accordance with Council's resolution on the 29th of June 2021, Councillors sought approval from the Minister of Planning for Amendment C137 to the Nillumbik Planning Scheme. This amendment introduces a heritage overlay to 14 Brands Lane Plenty on an interim basis under Section 20, Part 4 of the Planning Environment Act 1987, until such time as Council progresses a further planning scheme amendment to introduce a heritage overlay permanently. Council is finalising the heritage citation in order to seek authorisation from the Minister for Amendment C138 to begin a full amendment process to apply the heritage overlay permanently. Amendments C137 and C138 are only to 14's Brown Lane Plenty and not to any other properties of heritage significance. The second question that Graham has is further to Council's intention to apply heritage overlay to the Eltham War Memorial Complex, which is supported by a large number of local residents and has a high level of public interest and sensitivity. Could a similarly prepared motion for heritage overlay to the Eltham War Memorial Complex also be supported and considered singly in its own right? So the Eltham War Memorial Complex is a complex of buildings that are council owned and identified by various heritage consultants as being of heritage significance. Council's resolution on the 29th of June 2021 adopted stage A of the heritage study and resolved to include the complex as a site to be included in a broader amendment at the conclusion of stage B of the heritage study. It is understood that there is a high level of interest and sensitivity, and Council is committed to applying the heritage overlay to the complex in accordance with its resolution. I have a question from Julia Drew, who asks, Councillor Stockman referenced in the recent Blue Lake Ward meeting that Council had the opportunity to nominate sites to the VHBA for consideration. VHBA is the Victorian Health Building Authority. Can you please confirm the list of sites proposed, the selection criteria, and if the area proposed by the Victorian Health Building Authority was included on the consideration list from Nillumbik Shire Council? So, Julia, Council received a request from DHHS and VHBA in April 2019, requesting that Council propose some potential sites for its review of siting the Eltham Area Community Hospital. The selection criteria was to include 4 to 5 hectares in size, to future-proof the hospital for future expansion if necessary, are easily acceptable and are easily accessible and well placed to serve long-term population growth, and to support the network of other health facilities and services. Nillumbik Council Facilities Complex, that is Civic Drive, being all the area and inclusive of the council offices, through to the Diamond Valley Sports and Fitness Centre, car parking areas and open space adjacent to the Greensboro bypass, was identified on the list of sites proposed by Council on the basis that it's 4 to 5 hectare size and was to be considered on the condition that should it be chosen that Council Shire offices be relocated to the old Shire office site in Eltham to provide for a new hospital building. Council further stated in its reply to DHHS that options within the Eltham Major Activity Centre were preferred on the basis of placing a major community facility into an activity centre, providing an anchor employer for the activity centre, and one benefiting the predominant skills of the local workforce, supporting synergies with surrounding services, retail, etc., placing the hospital in close proximity to a public transport hub, making high use of a key development site in the activity centre, and the above outcomes are highly consistent with the state and council activity centre policy. So the potential sites put forward included the former Eltham Shire offices site and abutting council state land in Eltham, car parking and stabling at the station precinct in Eltham, St Vincent's Care Services, Diamond Street, Eltham, Nillumbik Council Facilities Complex, Civic Drive, Greensboro, a bus depot site 103 Main Hurstridge Road, Diamond Creek, Andrew Park in Eltham. Rachel Bye asked the following questions. 1, could Council please clarify if the land announced as preferred by the VHBA for the Eltham Area Community Hospital in Apollo Parkways was suggested by Council? Did the VHBA approach Council for the land, or did Council put forward the site as an option without any local consultation? So Rachel, the previous answer pretty well answers your question, but as well, the Eltham Area Community Hospital is a state government project undertaken by VHBA, who have currently commenced community consultation. Rachel's second question is that, what were the other site options, and were these rejected by the VHBA or by Council, and are you now able to share the selection criteria and reasons for site rejections? Rachel, potential sites put forward included former Eltham Shire Officers site and abutting Council state land in Eltham, car parking and stabling station precinct Eltham, St Vincent's Care Services Diamond Street Eltham, Nillumbik Council Facilities Complex Civic Drive Greensborough, bus depot site 103 Main Hurstridge Road Diamond Creek, and Andrew Park in Eltham. The decision on where to site the Eltham Area Community Hospital was a decision made solely by the state government. There was no consultation with Council. Rosemary Burdett asked the following questions. Given that the Civic Circuit car park is already at capacity when the sports stadium activity is at a maximum, even before the new netball courts are open, does the Council agree that the proposed hospital with paid car parking will make it almost impossible for local people to access parking for the stadium, Council offices, library and play space? The second question is, if so, will the Council support the local residents and users of the civic space and oppose the sale of the car park and adjacent green space to the VHBA for the Eltham Hospital? So Rosemary, Council has not yet resolved a formal position on whether to support the proposal or not. Council will need to gain a more comprehensive understanding of the proposal and of its impacts before a decision can be made. Dr. Svetlana Rizvik, President of Friends of Apollo Parkways, asks the following questions. Why was the Civic Drive Development Master Plan 2015 not provided to the VHBA during their investigation into possible sites for the Eltham Area Community Hospital? And the second question is, I personally contributed to the content of the 2015's master plan, exhaustive reference groups, consultations, workshops and funding submissions over a 6-year period. What measures will Nillumbik Shire undertake to ensure this vision is not devalued, downgraded and ultimately destroyed? So Svetlana, Council officers have informed VHBA of the community's use and shared vision of the Nillumbik Council Facilities Complex, in brackets Civic Drive site. Council officers advised VHBA of the preference to locate the proposed Eltham Area Community Hospital in the Eltham Major Activity Centre, in brackets the old Shire Office site, for reasons stated above and as stated in adopted positions of Council in its Eltham Major Activity Centre structure plan. Liz Arthur asked the following questions. Question 1, why is the Eltham Hospital being built in Greensborough when old Eltham Shire Office was originally proposed? Question 2, where will cars park for fitness and sports centre if hospital built on current car park? Plus this doesn't answer question regarding traffic on Brentwick Drive, only exacerbates it. So Liz, as this is a Victorian government project, any questions about the project and its location would be best put to the VHBA as the responsible authority. Joe Codlin asked the following questions. How can the Civic Drive community space be considered for the site of the new Eltham Hospital, given it does not fulfil many of the requirements named in the community consultation process, in particular, being near public transport, potential for expansion and sufficient parking for staff and patients? Second question is it possible for Council to propose a more suitable site that is near a train station? So Joe, as this is a Victorian government project, any questions about the project and its location would be best put to the VHBA as the responsible authority. Next question is from Carol Doherty. Question 1, when the VHBA approached the Council to buy the Civic Drive precinct site, why did Council not advise them that this site was not for sale because it was covered by a Community Facilities Upgrade Master Plan, October 2015? And was rezoned to a public park and recreation zone at a council meeting on 26th of March 2019. So Carroll Council was not approached to sell land. It was approached to provide possible sites for a community hospital. Council has advised the VHBA of the precinct's values, planning zone and utilisation to local community. Carol's second question is, has Council advised the developers or developers who recently purchased the Whittingham Circuit estate that the townhouses will not be overlooking a peaceful green park, but instead a hospital with an asphalted car park with noisy, bustling patrons every night and all weekend? So Carol, Council has not resolved to sell land to the state government for the Eltham Area Community Hospital. Greg Ryjic asks the following questions. Question 1, the proposed hospital will take away 58 out of 77 car parks that are currently reserved for council staff. Where will you guys park? And Greg's second question is, do the CEO and councillors care that officers and visitors will be disadvantaged by the loss of 3/4 of the reserved council car park? So Greg, council is a key stakeholder in the Nillumbik Council Facilities Complex, or council as a key stakeholder in the Nillumbik Council Facilities Complex is seeking further detail on the proposed hospital and advice on its potential economic, social and environmental impacts on the precinct. Sahin Ferrando asks the following questions. What is the impact of parking and traffic on the area with proposed development of the Eltham Area Hospital? Currently, the parking in Civic Drive area is not sufficient, especially during school times, and the traffic is very hard during school times. Development of the new hospital will increase accidents in the area. Also, development of townhouses on the recently sold land will not help with traffic in the area. Question 2, how can ambulances access the proposed hospital? The Civic Drive cannot cater for fast-moving ambulances, especially during school times. This will again increase the risk of school children facing accidents in the area. So Sahan, as this is a Victorian government project, any questions about the project and its location would be best put to the VHBA as the responsible authority. Nicole Trapp asks the following questions. Will council be conducting their own community consultations with residents in addition to the VHBA information session? And the second question, if not, how do council plan to advocate for the local community? And Nicole, council is keen to understand the community view on the proposed development and will be seeking community feedback in the near future. Margaret McKenzie asks the following questions. Question 1, why do you think that Apollo Parkways doesn't deserve the same open park recreational space compared to other communities? Margaret, as this is a Victorian government project, any questions about the project and its location will be best put to the Victorian Health Building Authority as the responsible authority. Margaret's second question is has NDIS been consulted regarding there is no train station and bus service which would meet the needs for the disabled? Margaret, you can guess that this is a Victorian government project. Any questions about the project and its location will be best put to the VHBA as the responsible authority. Graham Schultz has asked 2 questions and is about to get the same response. But the questions are: how busy is the drug rehabilitation? How busy is the drug rehabilitation facility of the hospital envisaged to be? And what part of the drug rehabilitation facility will be purposed towards the safe injecting room? What makes, in the second question, what makes Greensborough a better choice than council land in Susan and Bell Street? So Graham, as this is a Victorian government project, any questions about the project and its location will be best put to the VHBA as the responsible authority. Chris Wales asked the following question. With the extended sports facility, new housing, council offices, library, popular playground, polytechnic and school with 700 plus students adjacent to the proposed cottage hospital, how does council plan to guarantee the effective traffic management and safety of residents, students and sports patrons, vulnerable visitors and others? Council takes its responsibility for community safety very seriously and as such will seek to discuss such matters with the VHBA. Council has and will continue to advocate for an efficient and safe road network in all discussions and communications with government. Stacey Wang asks the following questions. Hello, Nillumbik Council. Hello, Stacey. I'm a resident on Brentwick Drive, just down the road to Apollo Parkways Primary. The question is regarding to the Eltham Community Hospital and the traffic parking issues it may cause. I'm sure many other residents to Apollo Parkways are also very interested in this topic. Question 1, pre-COVID, when all facilities are open, the car park that is used for the gym, library, council office, playground, and even school pickups, in brackets, which the Eltham Community Hospital is wanting to build over on top, is always full in capacity. Will the hospital build additional free car parks to facilitate the increase of staff and public visitors? The least we want to see is more cars filling up the sides of our street, especially during school pickup hour. So Stacey, as this is a Victorian government project, any questions about the project and its location will be best put to the VHBA as a responsible authority. Imagine I wake up in the middle of the night tonight saying that, but anyway. Question 2, the roundabout is it the main entry exit to our estate? The congestion and chaos during peak hours are already very difficult to deal with. With the increase in traffic the hospital will bring, this problem really needs the attention it deserves. Are there any proposed solution to this? So council takes its responsibility for community and road safety very seriously, and as such would seek to discuss such matters with the VHBA. Council has and will continue to advocate for the efficient and safe road network in all discussions and communications with government. Kate Fleet is next. One of the last few questions. First question, is council aware or does the council have a copy of the traffic modelling completed by the VHBA? And when was this data compiled? As the library has been closed for renovations, school has been on and off with remote learning or staggered start and finish times, and the council have had working from home conditions. In addition to all this, the expanded Diamond Valley Sports and Fitness Complex has been closed and upgraded with additional courts during this time. Second question, if council has not been made aware of the traffic modelling by the VHBA, why was this not requested by council for discussion with the VHBA prior to the site selection being made? So Kate, council was neither consulted nor privy to the ultimate site selection of the Eltham Area Community Hospital. So I'll say that again. Council was neither consulted nor privy to the ultimate site selection of the Eltham Area Community Hospital. Council has not decided on the state government project. Council has and will continue to advocate for an efficient and safe road network in all discussions and communications with the VHBA. Tim Fleet asked the following questions. How many sites for Eltham Area Community Hospital did Nillumbik suggest to VHBA? So Tim, 6 proposals were put to DHHS in April of 2019. 6 proposals were presented on their ability to meet the criteria put forward by DHHS. Of the 6 proposals, council reinforced its preferred, that being the former Eltham Shire Council Office site, for the reasons outlined earlier. Second question was Apollo Parkway's Parkland one of the Nillumbik nominated sites? Apollo Parkway's Parkland is part of the entire Nillumbik Council Facilities Complex, so as to comply with the 4 to 5 hectare site selection criteria, but was never proposed by officers as a site for the Eltham Area Community Hospital. Diane Brooker asks the following questions. If Nillumbik Shire agree to sell Civic Drive land, will Nillumbik be reimbursed for the costs of site levelling, landscape works, tree planting and irrigation for the passive recreation in 2018, approximately $300,000? The second question, given it is not vacant land but protected parkland and will result in loss of amenity into perpetuity, what price will sufficiently compensate Nillumbik residents for this loss? So Diane, council has not yet resolved a formal position on whether to support the proposal or not. Council will need to gain a more comprehensive understanding of the proposal and its impacts before a decision can be made. Last question, say that to Grant, Diane, for me. Trish Turco provided a statement and asked the following questions. So continuing along the line of planning for the Eltham Community Area Hospital and Apollo Parkways, looking at the existing bus routes to Civic Drive, there are currently none that go down Civic Drive except for the school buses. The 3 bus routes 343, 901 and 385 stop near Civic Drive. They do not travel along Civic Drive. Question 1. My question is, will there be a new bus routes added to drive down Civic Drive to stop on the street? And the second question, And given the natural incline of the land, will the buses go directly to the hospital? The walk from Civic Drive to the proposed hospital location can be awkward to walk for the elderly and those pushing prams, in brackets, lots of undulating land. And as you can imagine, Trish, this is a Victorian government project. Any questions about the project and its location would be best put to the VHBA as a responsible authority, and note that council doesn't run any buses on the public bus routes. They're all the questions, councillors. 7:30. We'll head now to the first officer report. Reports of advisory committees. It's the advisory committee report of 27th July 2021. Looking for a motion. Councillor Payne.
Yes, I'd like to move the minutes as written, that the minutes of the advisory committee meetings reported be noted in attachment 1.
Thanks, Councillor Payne. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Eyre. Thank you. Councillor Payne, any discussion?
No.
Councillors? Put it to vote. All those in favour? It's carried, unanimous. Next officer report is the draft community vision, NILMIC 2040. Looking for a motion. Councillor Eyre.
That council endorses the draft community vision, Nillumbik 2040, in attachment 1 for the purposes of public exhibition. 2, invites written submissions on the draft community vision, Nillumbik 2040, to council by 26th of August 2021. Point 3, considers public submissions at the Planning and Consultation Committee meeting to be held on the 14th of September 2021. And 4, notes that any person who makes a written submission in relation to the draft community vision, Nillumbik 2040, and requests to be heard in support of the written submission to be heard at the September 21 Planning and Consultation Committee meeting.
Thanks, Councillor Eyre. Looking for a seconder. Councillor Amtran. Councillor Eyre, do you wish to speak?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Through the process of coming up with these draft vision and plan, we heard from more than 2,000 people as part of our People, Our Place, Our Community engagement program earlier this year. And it was by completing online survey, attending a pop-up information session, or by focus groups. So I'd just like to, again, say thank you to all of those who actually provided feedback. Council wanted this vision and our other plans to be in plain English, therefore to make it accessible language, so not using jargon and buzzwords. And it was also very exciting to be part of and see the advisory committees coming together over 3 different sessions made available to them. So members were invited to participate in reviewing the draft council vision and draft council plan prior to it being made available today for public exhibition and consultation. And I think the exciting thing is the first time that we've used the advisory committees in this manner. So thank you to all those who also helped review that before putting it out. So we'd love to hear from community in response to the vision. So please send us your feedback. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Eyre. Councillor Amtran, you wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, look, I'd like to echo a lot of what Councillor Eyre said. Thank you to everybody who took part in the Our People, Our Place, Our Future survey that we ran with over 2,000 responses. Thank you to all the staff who ran that and who put the vision together. And I agree, I think they did a fantastic job of avoiding buzzwords, except perhaps in the names of the themes, but I think that's quite normal for theme names, that they do often end up being buzzwords. I think it's important to note that the community vision that we've ended up with really is based on the results we got from the Our People, Our Place, Our Future consultation. When we sat down as a council and workshopped it, I think it was made very clear, and we all agreed that this is the community's vision, and it's not our place to be trying to put our own stuff in there. The council plan is the place for us to be pushing what we think is important in the community vision. That really needs to be based on what the community said in the Our People, Our Place, Our Future survey, and that's what we've done. So I'm really pleased with what we've come up with. I have already had phone calls and emails from a number of people who've already got comments on the community vision and the council plan. So thank you to them, and I encourage them to make a submission. We need to get as many as we can. Yeah, as I say, I've already got lots of feedback, and we are open to making changes and really making this a vision that the community can be proud of. So the more submissions we get, the better. And I think we need to commit to really taking them on board and making changes to this vision so that the community can be just as on board with it as we are. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Entran. Any other councillor wishing to speak to the motion? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? It's carried, unanimous. Next on the agenda is the draft council plan 2021 to 2025. Looking for a motion, Councillor Entran.
Yes, I'd like to move that council endorses the draft council plan 2021 to 2025 in attachment 1 for the purposes of public exhibition. 2, invites written submissions on the draft council plan to council by the 26th of August 2021. 3, considers public submissions at the Planning and Consultation Committee meeting to be held on the 14th of September 2021. And 4, notes that any person who makes a written submission in relation to the draft council plan 2021 to 2025 and requests to be heard in support of the written submission be heard at the September 2021 Planning and Consultation Committee meeting.
Thank you. Do we have a second to councillors? Councillor Duffy, Councillor Entran.
Yes, thank you. Look, similar to what I said on the community vision, a lot of this was based on the Our People, Our Place, Our Future consultation, and the plan itself is in theory based on what is written in the community vision. So those two documents talk to each other, and this is our this is how this council intends to move Nillumbik closer to meeting that 20-year vision. I'm really pleased with what we've ended up with. I think it really reflects all the values that this team of 7 councillors have, that we took to the election and that we were supported with by the community. It reflects what was said in the Our People, Our Place, Our Future consultation. And I really think it will drive this council in the right direction over the next 4 years. Again, I've already had phone calls and emails from people who have seen it, who've got many comments, and that's fantastic. And we really want to hear them. So please make as many submissions. Again, as many people make submissions as possible, and let's really take the time to take those submissions in and make changes to this plan so that it's something that both the community and council can be proud of, because it's with us for the next 4 years and it really is a key strategic document. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Entran. Councillor Duffy, wish to speak?
Thank you. Yes, I will. Quickly, you know, this is when I'm looking at the council plan, you know, the 4 themes that have come out are community and connection, place and space, sustainability and resilience, responsible and accountable, and that is all, as Councillor Ramtran just said, has come from the feedback from the engagement that took place. And I'm quite excited that there is this opportunity for us to be able to put a plan together which is very focused on the feedback of the community. I was hoping to say a quick word about the vision, but one of the things, I won't go into that in a great deal other than to say, I hope that people do take this opportunity over the next month to have a look at both the council vision and the council plan, and to look at the vignettes that are in there as well. There are, in quotation marks, comments from the community, an example about our place. You know, a council, a comment that somebody wanted was, a council encouraged to implement effective neighbourhood character controls and community engagement activities to help support improved community wellbeing and a sense of place. Another comment about our people was looking at a council that let's focus on equity, let's focus on access, equity and inclusion across all areas of service delivery. So when people are looking at this, and I really encourage everybody to have a look at the vision, have a look at your words, have a look at the council plan, have a look at the words in that, but also have a look at the indicators and the way we will measure the success of that plan. One of the things that I like that's stated in the plan is that through the engagement we learnt as a council that the community has identified a number of key short-term priorities, and that's action on climate change, responsible urban housing development, the protection of the green wedge, reducing waste, greater recycling, and greater community consultation and leadership. So as a collective of councillors, that's what we want to do. We're here to do a good job for you, and we really encourage you to give us feedback on these very important documents. And please, we don't want to overwhelm you because there are a lot of documents to give feedback on in the next month, but by putting a submission in, you can just do that in writing through the website, or you can also elect to speak at the council meeting, and that's where you really get to have your say at the council meeting in September. And I'd like to encourage you to do that as well. People young in age, doesn't matter if you're 14, doesn't matter if you're 24, doesn't matter if you're 84. We'd love to hear from everybody to get a real sense of what the community thinks about, have we got this right?
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. Any other councillor wishing to speak? Councillor Eyre.
Thank you. I'll be quick. I just wanted to point out that on page 8 of this draft council plan, there's a photo of the youth council, but it doesn't have all the members. And this was not an oversight. This was the photo that we have. So my challenge is to the youth council is to actually get together and have a group photo that includes you all so that you can get it in before the final version is printed. So game on, youth council. Let's see if you can do it. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Eyre. If there's no other councillor wishing to speak, I'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? All those in favour? It's carried. It's unanimous. Thanks, councillors. The next item is the draft financial plan 2021 to 2031. And looking for a motion, Councillor Payne.
Yes, I would like to move the motion similar to the previous motions that Council 1 endorses the draft financial plan 2021 to 2031 in attachment 1 for the purposes of public exhibition. 2, invites written submissions on the draft financial plan to Council by the 26th of August 2021. 3, considers public submissions at the Planning and Consultation Committee meeting to be held on the 14th of September 2021. And 4, notes that any person who makes a written submission in relation to the draft financial plan 2021-2025 and requests to be heard in support of the written submission be heard at the September 2021 Planning and Consultation Committee meeting. To point 4, sorry, I'll reread that. Point number 4, notes that any person who makes a written submission in relation to the draft financial plan 2021 to 2031 and requests to be heard in support of the written submission be heard at the September 2021 Planning and Consultation Committee meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Payne. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Duffy. Councillor Payne, you wish to speak to it?
Just to say that this is one of the 4 plans that we are putting through this evening, and part of the living within our means and understanding what we're doing financially. And I commend Vince and Malika and the entire team for putting the plan together.
Thank you, Councillor Payne. Councillor Duffy.
I'd like to echo Jeff's words to say thank you to Vince Lombardo, our Chief Financial Officer, and the team. They've done a great job with putting this plan together. And as councillors, we're all very conscious of spending money and making sure that it's spent appropriately. And we do understand that, paying rates is something that people don't really want to do. But when we do that, when we do pay our rates, we want to make sure we get a big bang for our buck. And I think what this plan shows that over the next 10 years, there is an indicator of, council's reliance on external funding sources to enable us to achieve what we want to do to deliver for the community. So this plan is about how do we have the funds and how are we managing the funds to make sure that we can do those actions in the council vision and the council plan that we're wanting to do. So it might take a little bit of looking, but I encourage people to look at that, ask any questions, and just understand that as a council, we do have that problem of not having as much money as we would like to have to do all the projects that we would like to do.
Thanks, Councillor Duffy. Any other councillor wishing to speak? I'll put the motion to the vote then. All those in favour? It's carried, unanimous. Draft Nillumbik Health and Wellbeing Plan 2021 to 2025 is next. So looking for a motion. Councillor Stockman.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to move a motion that endorses the Nillumbik Health and Wellbeing Plan, Draft Nillumbik Health and Wellbeing Plan 2021 to 2025, see attachment 1, for the purposes of public exhibition. 2, invites written submissions on the draft Nillumbik Health and Wellbeing Plan 2021 to 25 to Council by the 26th of August 2021. 3, considers public submissions at the Planning and Consultation Committee meeting to be held on the 14th of September 2021. And 4, notes that any person who makes a written submission in relation to the draft Nillumbik Health and Wellbeing Plan 21 to 25 and requests to be heard in support of the written submission be heard at the September 2021 Planning and Consultation Committee meeting.
Great. Sorry, just take myself off mute. Thanks, Councillor Stockman. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Eyre, you wish to speak to it, Councillor Stockman?
Yes, I'd just like to say that the team, they're both caring and very competent, the staff, as they are in all areas, but in this area as well. And the levels of engagement are very good. It's a legislative requirement under the Acts, and what that means is all councils must develop a municipal public health and wellbeing plan within 12 months of the election.
Thanks, Councillor Stockman. Councillor Eyre?
Yes, thank you. As the plan says, it aims to protect, improve and promote public health and wellbeing within our Shire. And after the last year and also, or even just these last 2 weeks, it's particularly important to be looking after our health and wellbeing. And once approved, it will be reviewed annually to check we're on track. To also feed into the plan and to show its strength behind it, there were health and wellbeing partnership forums where 32 attendees that included 15 external organisations attended, which was really well run. But to have 15 external organisations attend to give input is great. Discussions with advisory committees. Councillors also had 2 workshops. And so agencies including Women Health in the North, Health Ability and North East Healthy Communities were involved. So we've certainly had some really good feedback from stakeholders and our community within this plan. And again, thank you to Corinne and the team for putting this together. And we ask community to give us feedback on this. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Eyre. Any other councillor wishing to speak? Councillor Emtran.
Look, I'd just like to thank officers for a very well-written plan. Councillor Eyre was right. They did a huge amount of consultation with all different parts of the community and councillors. And I'm really pleased with what we've ended up with. It's very clear, very well written. It captures a whole load of high-level actions, which will really come down to some important work. It covers themes of social inclusion and connection, great community resilience, gender equality and the prevention of violence against women, physical activity, food, reducing harm from alcohol, tobacco and gambling. It is now required by law to address climate change, and that's done across all of the different themes. So it's been very well written and well researched. And I'd just like to thank officers again for putting it together. And look forward to seeing what the community has to say about it. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Entran. Any other councillor? Councillor Duffy.
Thank you. My hand is going off out of the screen. What I'd like to do for a quick moment is just read out the health and wellbeing vision for Nillumbik that is in the plan. Everyone in Nillumbik is able to achieve complete mental, physical, social and emotional health and wellbeing. Our community is connected, safe, well-fed and engaged and has equitable access to opportunities, resources and services. Everyone is able to thrive through all stages and experiences of life. And that is something that I hope that the 65,000 people that live in Nillumbik are able to feel represents them and what they would like to have our council do for them. The other component to this plan that I think is really important for people to have a look at is the community profile that goes with it as well. There's a number of statistics that I think are important to check out, and I'll just draw your attention to a couple of those. So one of them is about inclusion, saying social inclusion is one of the main social determinants of health and plays a significant role in our community's wellbeing. The other point that I'd like to pull out is that, you know, there's discussion about occupation and gender, volunteering, saying 24% of our Shire volunteer, and the emotional benefits that come from that. There's also a note here about that I thought was really quite interesting. It was about the Indigenous community and how the numbers of Indigenous First Nations people is growing in our Shire. The other bit that I thought was a really important thing to note was 88% of residents say it's important to address the needs of LGBTI residents. And that was a really big statistic to say that we need to make sure that we're showing that we're doing that as well. I'll leave the rest of the document for everyone to go through in their own time, and remembering that, you know, this next month you're going to be very busy if you do take the opportunity to give us feedback on these very important strategic documents. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Duffy. Any other councillor? I'll just a very important aspect of the Nillumbik community that it says a lot about the Nillumbik community, but it doesn't help us in some ways. But page 5, talking about the CIFA index, and the CIFA index is the socio-economic indexes for areas, or SEIFA. It's a product developed by the Australian Bureau of Statistics, and it ranks areas in Australia according to the relative socio-economic advantage and disadvantage. So where Nillumbik sits in that is it's got, out of 79 councils in Victoria, it's got the 76th highest score. And basically the higher your score, the more advantaged you are in socioeconomic terms. So, yeah, that means Nillumbik's a great place to live. Unfortunately, it makes it harder for us to get grants, you know, particularly the general purpose grant from the Commonwealth Government. But, you know, there's some great stats in the plan, but I think that was just one worth highlighting. We've got a score of 1,093, and any score above 1,000 indicates the area is more advantaged than the average. And as I said, in 2016, we ranked number 76 out of 79. So there's 3 municipalities in Victoria that are advantaged more than Nillumbik is. Likewise, there's 75 that are more disadvantaged than we are, according to that index. I'll put the motion to the vote. Councillors, all those in favour? It's carried, it's unanimous. Thank you. Move on to the next agenda item, which is a council plan quarterly performance report 2020 to 2021 of the 4th quarter. Looking for a motion, Councillor Payne.
Yes, I'd like to move the motion that Council receives the Council Plan Quarterly Performance Report as per Attachment 1 for the 4th quarter of 2020-2021, being the period ending 30th of June 2021.
Thanks, Councillor Payne. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Antran. Thanks, Councillor Payne.
I just wanted to take a small opportunity to brag. We don't often get a chance to do this, but I'd like to thank Jeremy Livingston and the team for the work they've done. We picked up the council ranked first in local government out of 50 councils, 10th overall out of 195 organisations in the mystery shopping program, and we got a feature in the Fin Review's Boss magazine Best Places to Work list out of 1,000 organisations. We've got a mention in the ranked top 3rd, and the only local government organisation to be recognised in that awards. So a quiet round of applause for everything that's been done by Jeremy and the team. Well done.
Thanks, Councillor Payne. Councillor Antran, wish to speak? Motion? Any other councillor wishing to speak for the motion? We'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? It's carried. It's unanimous. The next item is the interim financial report, June 2021. And looking for a motion, Councillor Eyre.
That council receives and notes the draft interim financial report for the period ended 30th of June 2021, which is in attachment 1.
Thanks, Councillor Eyre. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Duffy. Back to you, Councillor Eyre. Do you wish to speak to it?
Yes, thank you. Just wanted to note that this is obviously in draft version and it's waiting on external audit sign off. And then it will go to the Audit and Risk Committee, who will review it as well. And then it will come to Council for endorsement. So that's the process. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Eyre. Councillor Duffy, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Yeah, I'll just pull out a little fact here that in the officers' report, councils ended the financial year in a better position than expected, generating a strong net profit as per the table that's listed in the report. So again, thank you to Vince and the team. And one of the things that's important to note is that with the way the accounting takes place, the grants that we receive are not included in the explanation of the funds here. That's rolled over to when they're acquitted. So there is a little bit of a discrepancy in the dollars, but you know the summary is that we're in a better than expected position. So I see that as a very positive thing. So I'll just wanted to point those things out.
Thanks, Councillor Duffy. Any other councillor wishing to speak? Put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? It's carried. It's unanimous. Thank you. Officer report CM 105-21 Municipal Planning Strategy Engagement. Looking for a motion, Councillor Amtran.
Yes, I'd like to move that Council endorses phase 2 of public consultation to occur over 4 weeks from the 23rd of August to the 19th of September 2021, as outlined in this report for the Municipal Planning Strategy of the Nillumbik Planning Scheme. And 2, notes that the following phase 2 of public consultation, the next scheduled milestones for the project include A, the November 2021 meeting of Council's Planning and Consultation Committee will consider the outcomes of the phase 2 of the public consultation, and B, the February 2022 Council meeting will consider a draft of the municipal planning strategy and a recommendation that it be endorsed for phase 3 of community consultation.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? And Councillor Payne, thank you. Councillor Amtran.
Yes, I just wanted to stress how important the municipal planning strategy actually is. It will sit as the preamble to the planning scheme, which is where the old municipal strategic statement used to sit. The difference between the two documents is this one will be much shorter, much more to the point, and where the municipal strategic statement has often been ignored by VCAT in a number of cases, it's understood that the municipal planning strategy will likely carry a lot more weight at VCAT. So this will actually be used in assessing planning permit applications across the whole Shire, and it will also be relied on in VCAT if planning permit applications ever come to VCAT. So it is absolutely critical that the document really expresses what our community holds dear about where we live, the neighbourhood character, the tree canopy, the green wedge and biodiversity values. That's what our community cares about, and that's what needs to be laid out in this municipal planning strategy, so we can really protect what we love about where we live. So I'm really pleased that we're doing this phase 2 of consultation. There was a decision about whether we go straight to phase 2, whether we go to phase 2 or draft the thing based on what came out of Our People, Our Place, Our Future and present the draft. It was decided that we needed another round of consultation before doing the draft due to the nature of this document. So yeah, really want to get as many submissions as we can from the community so we can make sure that this thing reflects what people really want to protect about the area where we live. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Amtran. Councillor Payne.
Just wanted to reiterate Councillor Rantran's comment about how important this is. This is one of the plans that we'll be taking back out to the community. It will have at least 4 phases, and I think it's important it is that we get this right because it becomes such a powerful document in planning and in the future of the Shire. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Payne. Any other councillor wishing to speak? We'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? It's carried. It's unanimous. And on to the next report, which is Committee of Management for Crown Land at 728 Main Road in Eltham. Looking for a mover. Councillor Payne.
I'll move that.
Yep. Do we have a seconder as per the papers? Do you have a second? Oh.
No, sorry. Am I?
You've got the floor, Councillor Payne.
Okay. I move that formally requests the request from Department of Environment, Land, Water and Planning to be appointed Committee of Management for Crown Land at 728. Oh, I'm sorry. I must have the wrong one. Oh no,
No, you had the right one.
Did I? Crown Land, have we got the right? I saw the wrong information on the screen. Sorry about that.
I think you were okay. The screen was wrong. Unless I've got the wrong.
Okay. In that case, sorry about that.
Sorry, Councillor Payne, I've missed one, have I? I've jumped. We'll come back to. I think I've missed one. I've missed the earthworks C131.
No problem.
So yeah, sorry about that. We might, if that's okay, go back to. We'll try to keep it in order. I don't know how I missed that one, but it's the Nillumbik Planning Scheme Amendment C131, earthworks in the Green Wedge. We'll go back to that one. Looking for a motion. Got Councillor Egan.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to recommend a motion that Council notes the submissions to Amendment C131 to the Nillumbik Planning Scheme. 2, request the Minister for Planning appoint an independent planning panel to consider Amendment C131 pursuant to Section 23(1)(b) of the Planning and Environment Act 1987. 3, request that officers notify submitters to the proposed Amendment C131 of the Committee's resolution. And 4, request that officers provide an update on Participate Nillumbik in regard to next stages for Amendment C131.
Thanks, Councillor Egan. Looking for a seconder. Councillor Amtran. Back to you, Councillor Egan.
Thank you, Mayor. This is another step in, I suppose, Council's plans to get this planning scheme amendment through. I'm sure everybody watching the program tonight is very well aware of the earthworks that went on in Chapel Lane in our Green Wedge back from 2016 to present day. It's been a long saga, but we're another step further down the road to getting this all sorted so that it can't happen again in Nillumbik. So I'm really pleased to put this through. It's not the end of the line by any means, but we're more than halfway there. So keep going and hopefully we can get it through by Christmas.
Thanks, Councillor Egan. Councillor Amtran.
Yeah, look, I'm really pleased to see this come to council and to see that we're requesting for an independent panel to consider the amendment. This is the next step in the process, given there were objections. So hopefully the panel will be able to work with the submitters and come up with a solution that means that we can have this in our planning scheme. It really is an important amendment. It will clarify what the community wants, and that is for us not to have illegal dumping. I think I get at least once every 2 or 3 weeks, I get people reporting illegal dumping to me, or dumping in general gets reported to me. And this will make it absolutely illegal and clarify that cannot be done under our planning scheme. So it really is an important amendment. Thank you to officers for the work that's been done so far. I'd also like to thank Doug, who spoke to us at the Planning and Consultation Committee meeting 2 weeks ago with some really useful information that really shows us why this amendment is important and how this affects the environment. So yeah, let's wait to see the results from the planning panel, and hopefully we'll be able to put this into the planning scheme. And I think Councillor Egan might be quite optimistic to say before Christmas, but fingers crossed.
I was being very optimistic. And I'd just like to clarify that it would only make earthworks illegal over 100 cubic metres.
Yes, that's right.
Thank you. Any other councillor wishing to speak? Councillor Duffy.
Thank you. I agree. I think this is a good move forward. The one thing that I'd like council to continue to look at is ensuring that the fill that's used is actually clean fill and it's not contaminated. We have seen examples of some of the fill that's been coming into the Shire, unsuitable, full of rubbish. That's not always the case, but it's something that we need to be vigilant at, so that when we have an amendment like this that says you can bring in fill to a certain size, we still need to make sure that the quality of that fill is not going to be doing harm to the areas that it's going into.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. Councillor Stockman.
Thanks, Mayor. I'd just like to add that LDR, low density residential areas, and even council spots as well inside of the road, a bit of dumping happens. So it's just something that we need to be aware of, that it's not just Greenwood Zone and Rural Conservation Zone as well.
Thanks, Councillor Stockman. Any other councillor wishing to speak? We'll put the motion to the vote. If not, all those in favour? It's carried. It's unanimous. And yeah, sorry about that before, Councillor Payne, but we're now onto the Committee of Management for Crown Land at 728 Main Road in Eltham.
What the heck? I'll move it again.
Yep.
All right. And so I'd like to move the motion that Council formally requests from the Department of Environment, Land, Water and Planning to be appointed Committee of Management for Crown Land at 728 Main Road, Eltham, being Crown Allotment 1, Section 4, Parish of Nillumbik, Certificate of Title, Volume 11371, Folio 540.
Thank you, Councillor Payne. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Duffy. Councillor Payne.
Just wanted to acknowledge that this is formally taking over the lease that expired on 728 Main Road, Eltham. This is known as the Eltham Justice Precinct, and it's of course the home of the Eltham District Historical Society, and a more worthy place for the Historical Society I can't think of. Council have got a great connection with the Historical Society and those buildings. The courthouse is being refurbished, and it's important that we look after our history, and I think this is exactly how we do it.
Thanks, Councillor Payne. Councillor Duffy.
I think Councillor Payne has said it all. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Great. Any other councillor? Certainly, yeah, the Eltham or the Nillumbik Historical Society will be very happy. So this is. Did I say the? Yeah, it's the Eltham Historical Society, isn't it?
Eltham District, I think.
Yeah, Eltham District Historical Society. Well, perhaps less happy now than what Jim was a minute or two ago. But anyway, I'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? It's carried. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is flagpole proposal at the Civic Centre.
I'll do that, Mayor.
Councillor Duffy, have a motion.
Okay, the motion is that council endorses option 2 in the papers, opposed to the original minutes that say option 5. So that council endorses option 2, installation of 2 additional flagpoles at Civic Centre, and notes the flagpoles will be the same height and colour as the existing. The budget estimate is about $18,000 to $19,000, and that second point to this is that council refers the item to the mid-year financial review for the 2021-2022 financial year.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Stockman. Councillor Duffy.
Thank you. I'd just like to say that this is a really good thing. I think it's great to see that council is bringing ourselves in line and benchmarking with other councils, some large and some small, in terms of the flags that they fly at their civic heart. You know, some councils have one extra flag for the Torres Strait Islander acknowledgement. Other councils have 4 flags so that they can acknowledge other groups as well. In what we've heard already through this meeting, there's been a sense from our community for us to really show a strong commitment to inclusion and to be able to support access, equity and inclusion. And that's what the addition of these 2 flagpoles represent. So while some people will see this as $18,000 to $19,000 of spend, I see this as protocol and I see it as symbolic, and I see it as something that's very important. You know, our local high school, the high school that my daughter goes to at Eltham High, you know, they proudly fly the Australian flag, the Aboriginal flag and the rainbow flag every day of the year. At our council office, we fly the Australian flag and the Aboriginal flag, and I think that it lifts us as a community to be able to extend that to show respect for all First Nations people when the Torres Strait Islander flag is a national flag, and to be able to have the provision for a flag to show our inclusion for the LGBTI community. And with this should go a flag policy or a flag raising policy, so that as a Shire we have the foundations to say how we want to use this appropriately. The point that I'd like to make is that last year I was really disappointed when council chose to spend $46,000 of our rate money on installing 5 flagpoles along Main Road. You know, I've watched these flagpoles flutter, you know, and, you know, for the last 3 months they've been displaying Mother's Day banners. Today, over the last few days, I'm not quite sure whether it was today or during the week, they now have a banner saying shop in our Shire. Whilst I still very much support that, to shop locally, I'm looking at the disparity of spend, $46,000 on 5 flagpoles in Main Street, Eltham, versus the symbolism that these flags flying at our council headquarters says to the whole Shire. So in that sense, we've looked at it as council officers, as councillors and council officers, we've had discussions about this. I think that's where I'd probably like to leave it, just that I think that it's spend that's worthwhile, and that it will be, hopefully we'll be able to find money in the budget at the appropriate time to be able to do this.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. Councillor Stockman.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I'd just like to say that the council is all about inclusion, and I think comes up in almost every one of our plans, and this really just adds that formality. It just formalises it and makes it more official having the flags, and I actually believe it gives us all a sense of pride. So I'm very much supportive of the motion and concur with Councillor Duffy.
Thank you, Councillor Stockman. Any other Councillor Amsharan?
I'm really pleased to see us moving this today. This is really how we show who we are as an organisation and what our values are. The existing municipal health and wellbeing plan and the new draft both talk about social inclusion and connection and the importance that they have on our wellbeing. And this is more than just a symbolic gesture that we've got here. This is a gesture that really will demonstrate that we value social inclusion and connection. It might seem trivial to some people, it might seem unimportant, but for people who have experienced discrimination consistently throughout their lives, this gesture from their local government will show that actually we accept you and we support you, and you are important and you are welcome here. So while it may seem unimportant to a whole range of people, it actually will be incredibly meaningful to so many in our community. And that's why this sort of thing is so important. And that's why this is money well spent. We've chosen to go with option 2 because it brings those flagpoles to the Civic Centre, where they will be right outside the council offices. And we can raise that, those 3 flags, the Australian flag, the Aboriginal flag and the Torres Strait flag, there every day, and the rainbow flag and the trans flag will be flown on days of significance for the LGBT community. So it really is, in my view, the right choice. And I'm really pleased and proud to be sitting here as a councillor supporting it today. It will be deferred to the mid-year financial review. The reason for that is it's not in the current budget. And if we were to do it straight away, then we would have to cut something else out, which isn't fair on anyone. So we'll just have to wait a few more months when we do our financial review. As long as we've got some money left over, which hopefully we will, then we'll be able to allocate that to this, and otherwise we'll be able to do it in the next budget. But I'm really pleased that it is now on the list. It is, we are about to endorse it. Once we've done that, we know that it will get done, and it's just a question of finding the budget for it, which is something I'm sure we'll be able to do. If not in the next 5 months, then at least in the next year. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Antran. Any other councillor wishing to speak? Councillor Eyre.
Yes, thanks. I just wanted to reiterate all that's been said, that we value inclusion. That's definitely very true of us councillors and the council as a whole. I just was going to just mention a couple of things that the amount covers, because you kind of think, oh, why would 2 flagpoles cost that much? But it actually includes the supply and install of the actual flagpoles, and we need crane hire, building permits, structural engineers. We need to check for underground services and temporary fencing and things. So when you put all of those things together, that's where the money comes from. So thank you.
Councillors, we've lost Councillor Egan. Apparently your power's gone out. I might just pause for a moment or two, and we'll give her a call on the phone and see whether you can reconnect with Councillor Egan, if that's okay. So we'll just suspend the meeting for a couple of minutes and try to get Councillor Egan back on the air.
Excuse me, Mayor. I've just got off the phone with Councillor Egan, and she's happy to continue. She shouldn't be long. She's going to try alternative means, but she's happy for the meeting to proceed in her absence.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just left a voice message on her phone. She must have been speaking to you. All right. Well, if she's happy for us to continue, we will. So far we've heard from Councillor Duffy, Councillor Stockman, and Councillor Eyre. Any other councillor wishing to speak? I suppose this afternoon there's been a bit of confusion around this whole flagpole issue. To be honest, initially we were advised that the existing poles that have been there for 50 years outside the Shire office, which was, I think it's coming up for its 50-year celebration early next year. 50 years since the building was opened as it was the Shire of Diamond Valley, of course. The main office is there, and you know, my sense of it is that the flagpoles are significant. They're certainly huge. They're not your standard flagpole. They're very, very high. And our original advice was that we couldn't, our officers couldn't source matching flagpoles. They couldn't source them in matching colour or in matching height. And so potentially what we're looking at was an AFL goalpost, point post type setup with 2 shorter flagpoles either side of the goalposts. and of different colour. That advice has recently changed to us, saying that they actually can purchase flagpoles of the same height as those flagpoles that have been there for 50 years and of the same colour. So that certainly helped sway my mind in terms of this being a viable way to go. I was thinking if we had to remove the existing flagpoles and have much shorter ones, 4 new ones, that wouldn't be respectful to history. And I was really supportive of putting in another couple of flagpoles at the Eltham Community Reception Centre on that basis. But the advice has changed, and we can purchase 2 new flagpoles that will match the existing. So, you know, I'm comfortable to support the motion put by Councillor Duffy. And the other thing about it, as we've spoken about, is rather than defer some building works or some new renewal works, which was proposed, I'm more than comfortable with the notion of deferring this until the mid-year budget review. And if there's money available in the mid-year budget review, the flagpoles will be installed at that time. If not, it'll be carried over to the next budget cycle. But it'll be a very clear indication from this motion and this vote, if it goes through, that council does indeed intend to install an additional 2 flag poles at the Civic Centre. So if there's no other discussion, councillors, I'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? And it's carried, it's unanimous. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the Inclusive Sports Pavilion Plan. And looking for a motion, Councillor Duffy.
Thank you. It's kind of a good thing to follow on with an inclusive sports pavilion after talking about the reasons for why having those flags installed at the council office are meaningful. This motion is simply that council formally notes the inclusive sports pavilion framework presented in attachment 1.
Sorry, I was on mute. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Eyre. Back to you, Councillor Duffy.
I'd just like to say that this is a framework that enables us to ensure that with the infrastructure that we have and with the sports pavilions that we have around the Shire, that we can make sure that they're inclusive and available to everybody that wants to use them, regardless of their ability. So I support the work that the Sport and Recreation team have done to put this together for us.
Thanks, Councillor Duffy. Councillor Eyre.
Thank you, Mayor. So the Inclusive Sports Pavilion Plan is the outcome of work funded by the Sports and Recreation Victoria some years ago. It's the work focused around council supporting sporting pavilions and providing a framework for decision making in regards to future upgrades. So the data or process and format will help create an equity and inclusion framework under the recreation strategy. And this is really important as from all the things that we've heard tonight, even just as a minimum. The scope of this framework will include other types of council recreation assets and facilities, including our trails, playgrounds and leisure centres. And the recreation strategy will be out for consultation later this year. And we anticipate feedback from that process to inform our next steps in equity and inclusion framework.
Thanks, Councillor Eyre. Any other councillor wishing to speak? Put it to the vote. All those in favour? It's carried. It's unanimous. Instrument of delegation to the CEO is the next item on the agenda. Councillor Emtran, you have a motion?
Yes, I have a motion slightly different to the officer's recommendation. So I'd like to move that Council 1, in the exercise of the power conferred by Section 11(1)(b) of the Local Government Act 2020, the Act, Nillumbik Shire Council, resolves that A, there be delegated to the person holding the position or acting in or performing the duties of Chief Executive Officer the powers, duties and functions set out in the attached instrument of delegation to the Chief Executive Officer, attachment 1, with an amendment to the final component in 3.1 and 3.2 to read $300,000 instead of $500,000, and subject to the conditions and limitations specified in that instrument. B, the instrument comes into force immediately after the common seal of council is affixed to the instrument. C, on the coming into force of the instrument, all previous delegations to the Chief Executive Officer are revoked. D, the duties and functions set out in the instrument must be performed and the powers set out in the instruments must be executed in accordance with any guidelines or policies of council that it may from time to time adopt.
Thanks, Councillor Entry. And do we have a seconder? Councillor Duffy. Councillor Entry.
Yeah, look, most of this is quite administrative. We get a report from a legal firm once every few months with a whole range of changes to legislation and the powers that are given to council under that legislation. What we're basically doing here is referring a whole range of them to officers. It's pretty standard. Most councils have almost exactly the same delegation. And it just gives officers the power to do their job for the Nillumbik community. The one thing we're changing today is we are bringing the financial instrument back down to $300,000. At the beginning of the pandemic, the last council raised that instrument to enable the CEO to continue performing the duties of council, given it was unclear as to whether council would be able to continue meeting. Now that we have a little bit more certainty, we are slowly beginning to exit the pandemic, and we know that even when we're in the strictest of stage 4 lockdowns, we're still able to meet via Zoom. So that means that there's no longer a need for the instrument to be as high as it was. I think we're all agreed that it was originally a little bit too low, so we are bringing it up now. It's going up to $300,000. I believe it was $150,000 before. So that brings us in line with other councils. It means the CEO is able to do his job, and it just gives us that little bit more oversight over spending. So yeah, happy to be bringing it back down. It's might seem ironic while we're sitting here in a Zoom meeting on the last day of lockdown 5.0, but it really is a good sign that we're moving towards a much more certain future. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Entry. And Councillor Duffy.
Thank you. And yes, let's hope that there's a more certain future, because 6 weeks ago we were on Zoom as well. So hopefully in another 6 weeks we won't be in this situation. I'd just like to follow on with what Councillor Ramtran said. There's been a discussion and assurances provided to us about the transparency that is best practice and common here at Nillumbik. The levels have been raised from what they were in 2000 prior to the pandemic, from $150,000 for goods and $200,000 for services to the $300,000 mark. And that's in line with our procurement policy and with our tenders. And the other instrument to be able to look at, like, there's dual sign off here. There's also an annual procurement report that's provided in November. So, you know, it gives us great confidence that there can't be misspending in this area. And when the spend is more than $300,000, it will just simply come to council for us to make a collaborative decision on. So I support this motion and the changes that you've made, Councillor Ramtran.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. Any other councillor wishing to speak? We'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? It's carried. It's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Next is the instrument of subdelegation to members of council staff under the Environment Protection Act of 2017. Looking for a motion. I've got Councillor Payne.
Yes, I would like to move the motion as per the papers.
Thank you, Councillor Payne. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Entran. Councillor Payne? Nope.
I have nothing more to add except that I think this is a wonderful change to the legislation, and good luck to all.
Thank you. Councillor Amshran. Oh,
Yeah, again, wonderful change to the legislation, gives our officers the power to do the enforcements that they need to do. Happy to be supporting it.
thank you. Any other councillor wishing to speak? We'll put the motion then to the vote. All those in favour? It's carried. It's unanimous. Now we're on to a tender report. Contract 1920-23, pavement and line marking. Looking for a motion. Councillor Duffy.
Yeah, I'll do that. Okay, so the recommendation is just about to come up on screen. The recommendation is that Council accepts the tender submitted by the preferred tenderer for the schedule of rates disclosed in attachment 1 and enter into the following contract. Contract number 1920-023, titled Pavement and Line Marking Services. The term of the contract is from the 1st of April 2020 to the 30th of March 2023, and there are extensions of up to 2 additional years. The next part of this motion is that Council authorises the Director of Operations and Infrastructure to finalise and execute the contract documentation, and authorises the Director of Operations and Infrastructure to approve contract term extensions.
Thanks, Councillor Duffy. The seconder, I didn't write it down. Councillor Amshran.
Oh, sorry, just wanted to note that there were 2 more parts of the recommendation.
Yep.
That's right, actually. Yes. Point 4 is that Council advises all tenderers accordingly and makes public the decision regarding this contract, but the tender evaluation report, attachment 1, remains confidential on the grounds specified in the definition of confidential information in section 3(1)(g) of the Local Government Act 2020. Thank you, Councillor Amshran, for picking that up.
Looking for a seconder. Did I get that right, Councillor Amshran? You're happy to second the motion? Yep. Councillor Duffy, do you wish to speak to it?
Yes, I think that what's important for us to acknowledge here is that with this tender, it's been done in collaboration and run by a group of 9 councils. And so Nillumbik is one of the councils that's looked into what to do here in terms of getting, I suppose, the best outcome for each of our local government areas. And I'm not quite sure whether when we look at the cost, it's $200,000 a year, which is a lot of money. So we want to make sure that that's spent appropriately with a business that's going to give us good value for service. And looking at the weighting of the way that this tender was awarded, price weighed 60% of the decision, capability, so the technical capacity and the resources of the organisation to fulfil their job was another 25% of the weighting, and then environmental, local and sustainability factors weighed another 15%. And in the report, the public can see some of the factors, environmental factors and social sustainability factors as to why the preferred tenderer has been appointed. I'd just like to point out one comment here is how this organisation has a program in prisons helping inmates with learning skills whilst they're in prison to be able to assist them with their work options when they come out of that situation, which I think is admirable. In addition to the environmental factors that they've clearly articulated in their submission to us.
Thanks, Councillor Duffy. Councillor Amshran or any other councillor? We'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? And it's carried. It's unanimous. And Councillor Duffy, you get the honour of announcing who the successful tender is. There'd be a number of people waiting to hear.
Great, thank you. So the preferred tenderer is Roadside Services and Solutions Proprietary Limited, a local business, not local to Nillumbik though, but an Australian-owned business. And I think that that's always important to make sure that we are supporting Australian businesses and Australian manufacturing when we can.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. Next, it's a very short report about the CEO Employment Matters Committee and looking for a motion. Councillor Emtran.
Yes, I'd like to move that council notes this report.
Thank you, Councillor Emtran. Do you have a seconder? Councillor Eyre. Don't imagine there's any discussion. I'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? And it's carried. It's unanimous. Next item on the agenda is informal meetings of councillors' records, 25th of May 2021. Looking for a motion, Councillor Eyre.
Thank you, Mayor. Officer's recommendation that council, in accordance with item 19 of council's governance rule, meeting procedure, receives the informal meetings of councillors' records, attachment 1, for the meetings held.
Thanks, Councillor Eyre. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Emtran. Councillor Eyre? No. Any councillor? I'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? It's carried. It's unanimous. Notice of motion. There are none. Delegates reports. I'll have a bit more information perhaps next month. But I recently attended an awards function for Parks and Recreations, I think is the name of the organisation that do a lot of work in parks and recreation throughout Australia, and Nillumbik was successful in getting the award for the best playground above $500,000 in Victoria, and so we got that for the Diamond Creek Regional Playground, and it's one of the finalists now for the national award, and that national award will be announced in November in Sydney. So I was lucky enough to attend the ceremony with Heath Gillett, our manager for recreation, and another couple of staff there. And it was fantastic. Greg Shaw was there, who's been a great supporter of the regional playground there and helping do a lot of work. And so was Amy, I think her name was. Might not have that right, but anyway, we'll have a bit more to say about that perhaps next month, and we can have the trophy hopefully the next OCM. Supplementary and urgent business, there are none. Confidential reports, there are 2, and looking for a recommendation or looking for a motion.
I'm going to move the motion that we move into confidential.
It was actually Councillor Duffy.
I see. Sorry.
Councillor Duffy, this was you're going to talk a little bit about the Diamond Valley Library upgrade works.
Yeah, usually there would be some public information about a report that we would be taking into confidential. So just to
Councillor Duffy, perhaps just move the motion, and then you can speak to the item.
Yep, great, thank you.
Move the motion after we move it and second it. Yeah.
Okay, so tender report contract 2021-034 Diamond Valley Library upgrade contract works contract variations. This item is confidential because it's private commercial information, being information provided by a business, commercial or financial undertaking that relates to trade secrets pursuant to paragraph GI of the definition of confidential information under section 3.1 of the Local Government Act.
I think you can go straight to the motion.
Okay.
That is something along the lines of that in accordance with section 66.2 of local government.
I'm happy to do that. I saw that come up on the screen and thought there was an expectation for me to read that. No. So the recommendation that I have, which is from the pink document in the confidential section of the agenda, is that council authorises.
Hang on, no, it's actually on page 81 of the agenda. So under recommendation, right at just before the close of the meeting.
Apologies. Thank you. So the recommendation. That accordance with section 66(2) of the Local Government Act 2020, Council resolves that to close the meeting to members of the public to consider confidential items. Is that what I was meant to read out, Mayor?
Fantastic.
Thank you.
And looking for a seconder, and it looks like we've got Councillor Stockman seconding the motion, and back to you, Councillor Duffy.
Okay, so just to talk a little bit about the Diamond Valley Library upgrade, you know, over the last few months with Councillor Egan and myself, we've both been on the board for the Yarra Plenty Regional Libraries, and it's been a very exciting time to see what's happening with our libraries and the upgrades that are taking place. And the community will know that there is an upgrade that's been taking shape at the Diamond Valley Library up here at the Civic Drive. So with particular respect to this tender, the item relates to a minor contract variation for works. Construction works are nearing completion, but there are now 2 variations to the contract that will push the contract expenditure beyond what was resolved in the contractual amount and the contingency amount. So that's why this is coming to council. The first variation is for new furniture to replace some of the existing outdated furniture. This new furniture will complement the new zones and spaces within the library that are looking amazing. We've had a sneak peek in the library, so I can't wait for it to be open for the public. The additional point, the second variation, consists of power upgrading, including a new mains switchboard. The switchboard is necessary for the upgrading to the heating, ventilation and air conditioning system that will be conducted in the following months. While the existing heating, ventilation and air conditioning system is scheduled for upgrade within the next 2 to 5 years, with investigation that's been happening at the moment by the team, it makes more sense to do this work now because then it's necessary to do it now. So not only will this improve the comfort for people that are in the library and also the staff, it will also help us with energy efficiency and the way that we're applying that to the building and this project overall. The upgrade works will be conducted after the library upgrade works are completed, and that will be this separate tendering process. And lastly, these works will be coordinated with library staff to ensure that there's minimal interruption to the library services.
Thanks, Councillor Duffy. Any other councillor wishing to speak?
I'll just quickly, Mayor, I'd just like to concur. I think Councillor Duffy got everything there, which is great. And sometimes things do go over budget, and this just goes to show that it's obviously something positive coming back. So that's fine in that case.
Thanks, Councillor Stockman. If there's no other councillors wishing to speak, we'll put the motion to the vote, and all those in favour. It's carried, it's unanimous, and declare the meeting closed.